It is time to combine two of our favorite themes, building with Lego and playing Nintendo games. Yep, it's the Lego Nintendo Game Boy set. Let's check it out. Released this year in 2025, this set has 421 pieces and it has so many cool features that we can't wait to show you. At a height of 5.5 inches and a width of 3.5 inches, it's almost the exact same size of an actual Game Boy. And it includes two classic video game cartridges, Super Mario Land and The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. So let's take a closer look at this awesome build, starting with the front of the Game Boy device. And here we have the screen, and can you believe that this is a printed tile and not an actual working Game Boy screen? It looks so real. And surrounding the screen we have the dot matrix with stereo sound label, the LED battery indicator, and the iconic Nintendo Game Boy logo. But let's go back to that screen. It's made up of a lenticular printed piece, and as you tilt it you can see an animation of the actual power on screen of a real Game Boy. Just an incredibly creative idea from the LEGO designers. Speaking of great designs, now let's look at the bottom of the device. And there's a lot here at the bottom, just like on a real Game Boy. We have the D-pad, the A and B buttons, select start, the external speaker, and the label for the headphone jack. And the D-pad and buttons can be pressed in and it feels almost like a real Game Boy when you do it. Up, up, down, down, left, right, BA, select, start. Yep, they all work perfectly. And on the right side of the device, we have the external connector port and the volume control wheel, which is cleverly created out of a gear piece that you can spin to simulate changing the volume on your Game Boy device. And over on the left, we have a port for an external power supply and another wheel, this one to adjust the contrast on the Game Boy screen. And if you had an OG Game Boy back in the day, you probably used this contrast wheel an awful lot. Yep, trying to find that exact perfect spot in the room with enough light to see the screen was always a challenge. And up top we have the on and off switch, which unfortunately does not slide back and forth. And there is also this convenient stand for displaying the Game Boy in your collection. And another clever part of this design is that the headphone jack is actually used to fit into the peg on the stand to keep the Game Boy in place. And it can be placed on the stand with the front or the back facing out. So let's place it back on the stand and we'll take a look at the back of the device. There's a lot of detail here to look at too. And on the top we have the game cartridge port, and then we have the battery pack, which is just the label, it doesn't actually open. Yep, and at the bottom are the vents where the heat escapes out of the device. And if you did have a Game Boy back in the day and you were holding it in your hand, you certainly felt that heat after using it for a long period of time. And this is another nice touch. The serial number on the device, 19890421, is actually the date of the Game Boy's initial release, April 21st, 1989. Okay, now it's time to check out our favorite part of the build. It's the video games. And first we have Super Mario Land, and the second is The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, two classics. And not only do these game cartridges have a great design on the outside, they also have a very intricate design on the inside. If you take off the cover, you can see the chips inside of the game cartridge. And you can see why we love this build so much. Just so many of these cool little features inside of it that we didn't expect when we were putting it together. And there's more to show you here with the game, so let's place one inside of the handheld, which is really easy to do by just removing the back plate and inserting the cartridge and its accompanying screen. Yes, there is a screen that comes with each of these games. We'll show you that in a minute. And we should also mention here how solid this build really is. Even with the switching of the games, none of the pieces or none of the parts of the build are flimsy whatsoever, and it is a really solid design, which is important. Okay, so we've inserted The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening into our LEGO Game Boy, and now we have a screen up of the gameplay. And yes, it's another lenticular printed piece, and this one might be a little bit harder to see, but there is some animated gameplay happening here as we tilt the screen back and forth. Okay, let's check out the second game. We'll swap out The Legend of Zelda and put in Super Mario Land. And while Derek swaps games, we will point out that we were very surprised that Tetris was not included in this build, considering that it was the game that came with the original Game Boy. And of course, unfortunately, it's due to a licensing issue. Tetris is not owned by Nintendo, so that's why it's not included in this set. Okay, now we have the lenticular screen of Super Mario Land inserted. Let's see if we can see the animation better on this one. Yep, this one showed up a lot clearer on the camera. We can see Mario jumping up and hitting the question mark block. So that covers all of the features of LEGO's incredible Game Boy set. Yep, we just love everything about this build. In fact, it really surprised us with how many neat little Easter eggs or features that were added into the set that we didn't expect when we got it. And this fun set is priced around $60, so it's a great value too. And of course, now we'll place it next to our NES console build, and we have ourselves a little LEGO Nintendo collection growing here. Hope you enjoyed this tour of the LEGO Nintendo Game Boy set. Thanks for watching everyone, and we will see you at the next build.